You're listening to Some Roses Are Red, presented by 79.7. So on today's show of Some Roses Are Red, this is John again, your host for Some Roses Are Red, and I'm speaking with Elaine Essential, Nathaniel, and Daronn Nathaniel. Hey guys.
Hey.
Hey. And on today's episode, since this is the month of February again, we are still on the topic of communication, and communication with the subtopic today being saying what you need to say. Just a matter of having different communication styles being brought together and using them effectively is what we're trying to focus on today on this episode. And I'm extremely thankful that I was able to get in contact with Daronn and Elaine today, because I know our schedules kind of didn't match up earlier, and a lot of snowstorms and a lot of different stuff happening where we couldn't connect, which was kind of bad. But I'm thankful that today we were able to make that happen and got them on the show here. So we're trying something
Thanks for having me.
Trying something a little bit different here, and we'll see if it works out. If it does work out, that'll mean lots and lots of good shows that we can do for the future here, where I can branch out to people who can't come in studio for whatever reason, or if the studio happens to, have a technical difficulty issue like we had this morning. Then I can still have great interviews with fantastic people. Now, as we often say, if you're not familiar with the show, Some Roses Are Red, it's a show where we talk about interpersonal relationships, not necessarily romantic relationships, but how we relate to one another, how you relate to your husband, to your wife to the husband, how you talk to your kids, just how you relate to people in general, not necessarily romantically, but all of those are, we find, aligned in one way or the other, because you still have to have the same principles for any type of relationship that you do have. So we like to have conversations with, like I said, like-minded people who I'm familiar with. Elaine I've known since kind of like the early mid-2000s. Daronn I kind of met a little bit later. I was familiar with Daronn musically just because I play drums, and I know he's a musician as well, so I was kind of familiar with him. Didn't really know him, but I'd heard good stuff about him, and of course I've heard him play, so I'm like, musicians are always good for me. So as long as you're good, and I've never heard nothing, about him being a jerk or nothing like that. So all of that's good information.
Sometimes, but that's pride.
Come on, man.
So all of
we being honest, right? We being honest.
well, we'll say this: not being a jerk when he did need to be. How about that?
Right.
So all of those were good things, and I was like, I wanted to have these people on the program for those reasons, because I like to have like-minded individuals. Like I said, that we may or may not agree on absolutely everything, but the things that we do agree upon are pretty core things, and the things that we disagree on, at least I know they have a good stance, and I can respect them for where they stand, and I know they would do the same for me. There's never a position where we can't have a discussion without, leaving on a good term as we started the conversation. So that's one of the main reasons I reached out to them. Now, specifically, why I reached out to Elaine and Daronn specifically, out of all the people, to quote the great Negro laureate Kanye West, they could have been anywhere else in the world, but they chose to be here right now. So I appreciate that. And the reason why I reached out to them specifically was I knew as working independent artists, I believe you have a unique perspective on the many communication styles of music, and how that music can evoke emotion. Which is not only understood but felt. This, in addition to the communication skills required to navigate the many steps required to introduce, place, and market music, makes your insight a very unique one from just any other person that I could talk to, because lots of people can do music like lots of people do music like but to still be doing it for a number of years and to still have that same passion and that same fire for it, that has to have a root somewhere. And that's what I'd like to get people to talk about, because I think so many people give up on the things that they may or may not be good at, but the things that they love. And I think that that's an unfortunate thing for people to give up on the things they love for the things they have to do. And I applaud people like yourselves who have stuck with the things that you love and have found success in doing so. So
thank you so much. To God be the glory.
Right. So I figured, what better way to send encouragement to people, and to also give an insight to two fantastic people, again, as I say, and to encourage people who may be on a similar path, or who are considering the things that they may have I won't say given up on, the things that they had possibly placed on a lower tier than they would really want them to be. So I found people like yourselves who are still pushing toward that goal, and I've said, let me get them in here and get them talking, so I can at least pick their brains, and you can have an understanding, and I can have an understanding, and we can all have a great big understanding together. Okay.
Sure.
So.
That's awesome.
You know, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. You pick good people and you have good things happen. So all the shows thus far, like I said about I think it was Jomar and Ty. It's the interesting thing is that I've known all these people for all these number of years, but I've only known them in one perspective. And doing these shows, I got a chance to appreciate them on so many other different levels that you just don't come into contact you don't come into contact with those people in those positions. So I think it's very, very interesting that you get to broaden your horizons and have a brand new respect for people when you just ask them questions. So,
true.
Right.
Hello.
Right. So I know we just talked about you guys being independent artists, musicians, singer-songwriters, producers, and arrangers. I guess the first question I'll start off by asking you guys collectively and individually. When did you first realize that music was something much more than just a thing that you liked, and that it was something that you wanted to pursue? You wanted to pursue in a greater capacity.
You want to go first, honey? Because I can talk.
Yeah. It was early. It was early on in life, at a young age. Church definitely had its roots. But even in the home, like my mom, she would always play like Al Green or, Jackson 5, like just a lot of older music. So I was just raised around music. And my mom, she's a pianist herself, so really didn't have a choice almost, kind of. Like if you weren't doing your regular chores or something, you were working on some type of music or you were listening to music.
Right. Okay.
Mine, I come from a similar background as well. I should say, really, the love for music started at birth. We were blessed to be in an environment that my mother and father created and really just continued on throughout the family, the bloodline. They continued to push us to be creative and just to really love what we did and have that really that deep passion for what we put out, whatever was in us, that it was important to get it out, and then the reasons why we did what we did and why we loved what we loved in music really was just, we learned that so early. Of course, church. Oh, and there's our little one coming in. Keep it coming.
That's all right.
The choirs, the learning how to harmonize at a very young age. Fundamentals of music just was really embedded in us at a young age. And of course, that's individually. For those who know and or don't know, I artistically am known by Essential. I am a published songwriter, vocal arranger. I own my own label, Essential Music Entertainment. God has blessed me to be able to put out what I call soul empowerment music, and also be an owner and a motivational guru for Love, Live, Life, which is not only a slogan, it's a lifestyle. So I've really learned just throughout life, by myself, the kind of the do's and don'ts. It wasn't always easy. I made plenty of mistakes, really, but the passion and the love for it came from, first, of course, from God. But my family just really, it was a place to grow that passion. And it's something I never have been able to separate from. That's a foundation.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I tell
and
you.
then together, of course.
Right, that connection.
We've been married now. We're actually celebrating 4 years, May 9th.
Okay.
Wow, seems like longer than that because we knew each other when we were 12 and, way back in the days, we crossed each other and we would see each other throughout the years. We ended up in choirs together and we never connected on a intimate level He actually liked me on the dig, but I didn't like him at the time.
She always says that.
Well, we don't keep it real, right?
She always says that.
Wow.
But I am deeply in love with him today, and that's all that matters, right, honey?
Whatever you
Right,
say.
honey,
Whatever she said.
Wow.
Give him that strong nod, right, honey? Look, communication.
Wow. There you go.
No, but we got together, and he played multiple instruments, and of course I was still doing my thing strong, and I just was like, wow, God, I see what you were doing, because I was on my way to a very big city. And I can't really say if we would have ever crossed again. So I knew it was nothing but God that put us together. And when we got together, we began to create music. We're actually currently working on a single right now as we speak. Another duet.
Okay.
This one is it's called Win Win. Be looking out for that. Of course,
will.
It's a stepper's groove. It's a love. It's really truly those that are in love. It'll really touch them.
Okay, cool. See, I knew I had good people on here because while you were talking there, you hit like two of the questions I had right below there. So I know we're on a good path here. So yeah, I know. I'm like, man, if we're in sync, then it won't be no problem, and I can definitely guarantee it won't be any problem here. We're going at a pretty good click here. So what I'll do then is, since you did touch on the fact that you guys are married and you have been married for, you said 4 years?
Yes, it'll be 4 years in May.
Okay,
it seems like forever, but wow.
4 years in May? Okay. So on that topic here, what was your engagement story? How did it happen? How did you the actual day of the proposal? How did you do it, Daronn?
Wow, it was that's weird. That I think we were out to eat, and then we had came home, and I had it all together like how I was gonna do it. But we actually ended up falling asleep. So we woke up, and I'm like, will you marry me? So it was like kind of like that unsettled. But we had been talking about it, like she just didn't know when I was going to pop the question.
Okay.
And the atmosphere that it was popped in was just like that. We both woke up, looked at each other, and I'm just like, will you marry me?
Well, it didn't take long, I mean, wise brother, but we actually reconnected. I would say literally maybe 2-3 months after that, we were talking about marriage.
Okay.
So
it was pretty much like, listen,
the courting time frame wasn't like your traditional, we weren't together for like years and years, because like my wife said, our paths, and again, we go back to that roots, the foundation, the God. Right. We path crossed each other, like 3 different times in our ages. Like 12 was the first time. It was like a screenshot. We were in each other's churches. Okay, fine. Yeah, she's cute. He's cute, but nah. Then we see each other again at 16, 17, so we're kind of a little more mature. We still kind of iffy with if we want to date each other and stuff like that, but like
he was a little too flirtatious.
We would tease with each other. She has her stories, I have mine. We would tease with each other. I think we both were in our own lanes, and that's what I love about her to this day. Like we still respect each other on that level. Like we understand which buttons to push and which ones not to, and how far to take it, as far as like the communication thing. And the engagement, it was simple. It was plain as day. Like I could hear God's voice say so clearly, like, this is the one. And I mean,
when he told me I was his wife, I was, what they say, flabbergasted. Right. I was like, listen, bro, I had been through.
And you're talking. That's what I'm saying. You're talking about we're both. This is our second marriage for both of us, and it's like.
Second and final, might I add.
You would think, right?
Okay.
No, definitely. I'm not going anywhere. You're not going.
No,
you're not going anywhere. Do you hear this?
Yeah, I got you on record, so if you ever need
we
it.
can't have y'all too comfortable. You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
All right.
Our paths were definitely meant to cross, and I think this final and third time, again, it crossed for a purpose, and we're definitely glad and honored to be living in that.
Okay.
As Mr. and Mrs. Nathaniel. So that's how we came to that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. So, of course, I have to ask, since you guys did cross paths a couple times throughout your youth, and you have known each other for a number of years before you decided to get engaged. What was that initial feeling that made you realize, for both of you, that this is something much more than just two people passing by each other, appreciating each other for your talent and finding each other attractive? At what point did you realize this is now at the point where I have to take action?
I think that's a question for the mister.
Okay.
At what point did you need to take action?
Well, no, I'll ask you first, and the reason I'll ask you first, Elaine, is because you said initially that you weren't feeling him that much, so he had to have something that he brought to the table this go around that definitely turned you around.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the hilarious part of it all. I was literally in a hairdresser's appointment.
Okay.
And this particular hairdresser knew my ex. Okay. And I had really a tough time with him. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we gotta move around. We got the kids coming in.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're good. And I was sitting in her chair, and she was like, you know what? You're not going nowhere. You're not going to ever leave him alone. Says, you know what? It's so funny that you said that. I think God needs to show you, because I'm done. Look, I'm not going backwards for nobody. And then she goes, well, and then I said, God, would you please show her? Just drop a husband on me. I don't know. Something. Please show her that I'm moving right along with my life. Too funny. Be careful what you ask for.
Right.
Because literally, I say weeks after that is when Daronn was really, I should say, pressing upon me. And I just was like, wow. What did I speak into the atmosphere? Like, is this really happening right now?
Okay.
And it was.
Yeah. Okay, see. All right, Daronn, what's your take on it? What had to change to make you say, I'm not going to let this woman pass me by anymore? I know I've known her for a while, but I'm going to make a move now.
The first time we talked on the phone, like actually talked, it wasn't like a Facebook message. It was intimate, like the phone. I don't know, it went to the wee hours. I know that.
Okay.
Like we were talking till like 6 a.m, I think, and then I felt bad for her because she was in hotels, so she was in the lobbies till that time frame, and it's like,
man,
okay, that's some dedication for a person to even want to talk to you that long. I'm falling asleep. Most girls be the man, like, why you gonna fall asleep?
Right.
And then,
but it was such a spiritual conversation.
Right. The second or third conversation, it was like we prayed together, and I asked for God to like show me her heart, and that's what I was hearing all the time in the conversations. Like, she was just really open about everything, what she wanted, what she didn't want, what she expected, what she didn't expect, her faults, her bad sides, her good sides. All of that came without questioning. So that was like the headlights came on like right away. And it's, you don't, when you get to be 33, 32 at the time, when you get to be that age, you're not that age by happenstance, if you know what I mean. Like, you should have some wisdom. And again, like I mentioned, this is our second time around, second and final time around. So the things that you're looking for in your mate at that point should click. And that moment clicked for me, and that's when I was like, okay. But I didn't know that, like, that was my first time hearing about the hairdresser side of the story. So that was confirmation again right there that God had his hands over all of this. And I was kind of laughing with it, but I was serious still. Like,
I'm really not going back to anything that I had been through before. Like, I really made that, like, almost like a declaration to the masses. I mean, the Lord above and everybody else. Like, I literally was just cutting everything out. If it had nothing to do with the music or my immediate family, which at that time were my girls, two of my girls, it just didn't matter. You know, I was so focused on going after the things that God had put in me. And I felt like, you know, throughout the years that some of those things I had went through with males previously were kind of sent to distract me. Mm-hmm. See, me and Daronn, we connect on a deeper connection. Like, literally, we can be in the studio and we're in sessions in the booth together. Like, I never had that before. So I know it's ordained by God on so many levels. Okay. I mean, he can finish my thoughts sometimes. It's crazy, but it's love. You're talking about communication. I mean, I really feel that being connected, of course, to the Lord is very, very important in marriage. That 3-strand cord is very, very important. If he's not the head, I mean, you're going to fall apart. Okay. And that's something that we learned, both of us, in our first marriage. Okay. You know, I'm going to just say it. We didn't really keep God first, you know. Yeah. But, you know, hey, people have their motives and intentions as well. So sometimes we make mistakes.
Okay. Now, I don't have this question written down here, but I know previously this month we had been talking about the importance of navigating or being the captain of your internal monologue. And I find it very interesting that even when you said that once you had made up in your mind, even in regard to talking to the hairdresser, that, well, I imagined it happened before then, but that you verbalized it to the hairdresser that you were not going back to a position that you were before, and you had made that up in your mind. So even before you said it audibly, you had made that up within yourself. And just at that moment, that's when the doors began to open. So I think that it's an interesting perspective to have to continue to reiterate that if we can alter the internal conversations, the internal monologues that we have to shift our lives, we can not only push towards the goals that we have, but we can have the doors open that may have been we'll say obstructed in the past, and have clarity. So I think that's a phenomenal. I told you, good people on the same wavelength, even though we hadn't even talked about it. See, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we truly can have what we say.
Oh yeah.
We don't realize how powerful our mouths and the very tongue is. Even in marriage, like, you have to speak life into each other. Oh, truly. Yeah. It's easy, especially from a woman's point of view. We can cut, slice y'all, dice y'all in one sentence, and y'all just looking like, I just want to kill you because you just touched my inner core. Like, our mouths are so powerful, and we have to, and I don't know if I'm getting off focus, but I just feel it's important to say, we got to focus on building our kings. Like, the king in our home, we have to focus on building him. I think that is really something society tries to pull us away from. I mean, the whole design of having our male emasculated is just from the devil. I'm going to just say it. So I feel like the woman, the wife, the queen of the home, the queen should build not only her home, but her man, her king, her husband. I think that's very important.
Okay. Daronn? Agree? Kudos?
Agree, and definitely to piggyback it, you need that. As men, we do need the foundation. So, and by foundation, I mean, if you're going to be intimate with someone, it has to go beyond just the physical.
Oh, most definitely.
If you don't have the spiritual building up of, as my wife was just speaking of, it is going to be just that. Like, we rarely talk about it, but a lot of these relationships are built off of the physical. It's sexual a lot of times. Like, you see.
I mean, which is important. That's
it
important,
is,
because that's the initial, but that doesn't last.
It doesn't, and it can't carry you. It won't get you through the hard times.
Right. Because it's not supposed to.
So when you're rooted truly with love, spiritually and physically, the spiritual is what sustains you. That's what I'm saying. So the you need that. It's each party counterfeits each other. Or, well, not counterfeits, but we
complements.
Yeah, compliments.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I tell you, man, good
I think
people.
that was the rough part in the beginning, like trying to figure out where do we meet? Like where do we connect at? How does this work? And then it's like, okay, all of a sudden it's starting to happen. It's happening.
Can I tell y'all?
It's happening.
Listen, I remember towards the beginning, he was like, you know what? It was kind of somewhat of an argument, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, Elaine, you are just super independent. You're too independent. And I said, excuse me? He's like, you know what? I understand you've had to, kind of play both roles for a little while, and you have to get it done, and you were, in superwoman mode, but you have to give me some room to come in, and I need you to need me. And I didn't understand it that clearly until then. I felt like a light bulb just like
yeah.
It was just, I really didn't understand that that's what my husband needed. Mm-hmm. So I kind of learned throughout the years to kind of put that down for a second, pick it up when I need to, because women, we still got to hold it down. I mean, y'all not perfect. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to act like y'all. We're the helpmates. So wherever we feel like we got to tag in or grab the baton, that's our time. We have to still remain in our role, though. We're a help, not the head.
Okay. So I'll tell you, good people, strong conversation. I tell you, man.
I'm sorry. I'm passionate.
Oh no. That is definitely a positive. That's a plus here. So I didn't need to have to ask this, but I do have an icebreaker question here. Even I think the ice is thoroughly broken and shattered here.
Thoroughly.
But just because I find it interesting here, if you, either one of you, and individually or collectively, but we'll say individually, just because I think it's a more interesting answer. If you had to name a movie that best describes your relationship with your spouse, what would that movie be and why? So if you had to pick a film from, can be old or new, or doesn't even have to be a romantic comedy, any film whatsoever that best describes the relationship that you have with your spouse from your perspective. Yep. What would that movie be, and most importantly, why?
Dang. Oh. I got so many. I don't know. I'm gonna say the craziest thing that just came to mind. Get rich or die trying.
Well, I gotta know why for that.
You gotta know why. Look, we are truly partners.
Uh-huh.
We are truly linked in every way. Kids, kids,
right.
Money.
Right.
I mean, everything we do, we affect one another. All our decisions affect each other, whether we realize it or not. We are on a mission. We're both on a mission to remain positive, to uplift others,
mm-hmm.
to get that money, and in the process, to raise our family, to raise young kings and queens, almost to be duplicates of kings' kids.
Uh-huh.
That's what we're on a mission. So not so much in the world's view of the get rich or die trying, but in the kingdom view. Uh-huh. We are truly on a mission together by any means necessary. We're not letting no devil in hell scare us.
Uh-huh.
So we've learned to be bold in the things of God and the things of each other. Marriage, we celebrate marriage openly. We've had people from family members to friends to nobodies tell us, oh, you guys you're too happy on Facebook. Tone it down. You post too many pictures together. Tone it down. And we can't stop, won't stop. So I got a little ghetto in me. I was raised by King High School, so I got a little bit of the hood in me. So when I truly say it's about getting it together, that's how I look at our marriage.
Okay. So get rich or die trying for Elaine. Daronn, what's your movie? If you had to pick one that best describes your relationship with your spouse, what's that movie?
I think ours, for me, would be The Blindside.
Okay. Well, you got to explain why on that one.
Definitely, bro.
Nobody believed in Michael Orr.
Uh-huh.
Nobody thought that
was the main character.
He had what it took. Mm-hmm. He was basically came from homeless. Mm. He didn't have anywhere to look. There was no like no support system at first for him.
Uh-huh.
So then he got with the lady and her family, Sandra Bullock's character, and found him. But yet and still, even in then, like all of their people and their friends and their connections turned on them too because of the connection to
The race thing.
Michael Orr. So I put our marriage in the place of Michael Orr's character. When we got together, it was like we lost a lot.
Yeah, we ruffled some feathers.
we put some marks out there. Like it was like, okay, these two got together, but then it was like when you look at it through the spiritual realm and you see really what it is, it's the fact that two of God's children have now united. So that's a powerful punch.
Yeah,
right
it was
there.
trying to stop the destiny.
And I
that we
think
had
that's what happened. We blindsided the enemy. Like we had crossed each other's. I go back to the foundation of how we kept crossing each other's paths, snapshots of each other at that point in each other's lives.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
my God, like once you do start to pay attention to his voice and you actually are obedient to what he says, especially in the realm of marriage, you'll be shocked for the things you ask for. I mean, sometimes you're going to be like, Lord, can I mean, Jesus himself even said, remove this cup from me. God, do I really have to go through with this, Father? But still he did it. You know, this is what it's all about.
Okay.
So Blindside, yeah, for me, I think we blindsided a lot
Well,
of people.
I definitely didn't think I would have been married to
I think
you.
we blindsided a
but
lot
I
of
mean,
people, including ourselves.
that's beautiful, though. I love that.
So
That's
so
great.
to speak on the blind side, talking about all those years where you did not know each other, where you were not you were not necessarily checking for each other, being on the blind side, that is. Do you think, and I'm playing devil's advocate because I know the answer, but I think it's a good topic to kind of veer into a little bit here. Do you think that if the previous relationships, I know you said you guys were both married, if the previous relationships would have worked out, would you have been a better person, or would you, or do you believe that the reasons that those relationships didn't work out, for whatever those reasons were, helped to develop you to be the person that you are now? And I ask that question because, speaking for myself, in also being in a second marriage here, as much as I did not want the first one to end and to go through the way that it went, had it not been for that relationship, I would not be the person that I am now. And I kind of have to thank, right. I have to.
I feel you.
For what it's worth, I have to thank the ex-wife for making the decisions that she did, and me making the poor decisions that I did. And I have to be thankful, even in that I begged to keep together, that it didn't stay together, because I could only imagine who I would have been if it would have all worked out and I had no reason to check myself, so to speak. So for you guys, if those relationships would have worked out, who do you think you might have become?
I don't even want to picture it that way.
Okay.
I feel like what Drake say, God's plan.
Right.
Like all God's plan, because it made me truly wake up. I learned a lot about myself.
That was going to be my second question.
Yeah, like in making that decision, I learned that I can be strong enough to alter or change whatever I need to, that I had that kind of power. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because when you in those relationships that are toxic, are tumultuous, and are not good for you health-wise, you find yourself losing everything. And I just, the more strength I gained to leave, that was the most powerful, I want to say one of the most, for a woman, we need to feel the sexy, if you will. We need to feel really good about ourselves. We need to feel very confident. And I think that was one of the times in my life where I can really say, thank you, Lord. I'm moving on and never going back, and meant that. Right. I knew that made me the strong individual I am today. It didn't matter who came, who tried to make me change my mind. It wasn't happening. Right. I knew that I had that power at that time. Okay. So I thank God that it didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'll probably be dead, in jail.
Right.
I'm just saying. We're being real, right? I'm being real.
Yeah.
You know? We have to, and that's how we're effective with others. We got to be just that real candid. You know, we got to let them know, listen, I am, or I was where you are or could be. So be careful. That's how we help one another. And
I think not to cut you off, Daronn, but I think that it's important that, like you said, that we have these discussions, because I think so many times people are afraid of the unknown, the uncharted positions, where if I leave what I already know, even if it's bad, walking into the unknown is more scary than the known bad, if you follow me. To walk into the unknown, which is potentially good or better, is more scary than leaving the bad. So, Daronn,
you gotta get to that point where you're willing to take the risk. Love is a risk, period. No matter if it's picture perfect or it's the worst, it's a risk.
Oh yeah. So, Daronn, what? Same question. Just what? How do I phrase it? What do you feel like you would not Woody? Not a direct question. That. So let's say this.
Who would I have become?
No, I don't even want to ask that one. Having gone through that, what have you learned about yourself having gone through that and realizing who you are today?
Again, just back to the destiny movement. So like, we're designed to be heads. We're designed to be providers, leaders. I naturally carried those abilities at an early age and like never really understood why like I had that characteristic, or why was I always the leader of the pack, or like why did the kids always gravitate to me, and why did I always be the one driving when it was time to go somewhere. But it was because it wasn't like everybody didn't have cars in the clique.
Right.
It was just everybody liked to ride with me.
A natural leader.
But when you think about where I was in the relationships that I was in prior to getting with the right one, as Ray Charles would say, you got the right one, baby.
You upgraded, Sam. You upgraded. I'm just saying.
It's like it's refreshing, almost. So I learned then that I have the ability, like my wife was saying, to gain strength within yourself, because that's where it comes from. You learn where your steps were made wrong, and if that opportunity comes around for you again, because everybody doesn't get the second chance.
Right.
A lot of people just say, the hell with it.
Right.
I'm going to just do me. You know, that's why we have a lot of the type of relationships we have now, I think, in the world. It's more
lost hope.
Yeah, it's like not really a hope left. More of our people want to be open in relationships. We have a lot of things going on right now as far as relationship wise, but I gather myself, because that's one of the things you have to do. You have to take yourself out of the realms or the elements and environments that you know had you in that icky mind state.
Right.
So once I did that and start spending more time with God, just meditating and really going back to the core foundation of who I am. Here comes this lovely bubbly.
Can I piggyback on his answer? Look, we always got something to say.
You sure can. Go for it.
What I noticed in him from the beginning of our relationship to now, when I first got with him, and I would tell him that you were really stressed, bro. Like, you were really stressed. Like, he was really, like, he was more down then.
Yeah.
And I noticed the difference. He really was a wreck. And I really think I was too, for a little, like, we really were broken, and we almost like we helped heal one another. That's how it's a healthy,
marriage.
Yes.
Right.
Even just a relationship, even a friendship.
Right.
You should be growing. You should be putting life, and you should see no different than a plant. You put the seed in the ground, you water it, you put it in sunlight. You ought to see it grow. It shouldn't stay the same.
Right.
So I do see the growth in you, and I applaud you for that. I know it isn't easy.
Thank you.
I know, the baby mamas and the issues, the real issues of life. We gonna be real. I know that can be hard. Right. And I never really saw things from a male point of view like I have with this man. Like, I really applaud great fathers that are not given the opportunity to be actual fathers. I really applaud you all, because I know my husband isn't the only. But I love him through anything. That's my calling. I'm here to love and be a help.
That's a part of the vows. And that's the thing, though. Like, we think it's just the colorful things to say in front of friends and family on whatever day you picked. For us, it was May 9th.
Yeah.
But sicker, poor, or richer, poor, sickness and health, those things really matter.
Yeah. And you're going to hit all those.
You're going to hit every one probably within the first month.
I don't know about that.
But you really need to be able to make sure marriage is not for the faint at heart.
It's not.
It's not for a weak-minded individual.
It's not.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have if you have minority goals, you won't make it. I think I heard somebody say that before.
Wow.
You have to have a togetherness about you.
Oh yeah.
Where it's something that, again, going back to the real question, I think when you're separating from someone initially, you don't have that. Like, you've lost all of that.
Right.
So that's what I did during my time period of I guess soul searching, so to speak, was trying to build. No different than going to a gym. No different than going to a gym and working out. Just trying to work out my spiritual man. Like, Lord, this time around, like,
and then
take away those
the electrolytes.
Take away.
I just gave you life.
Take away those like those ill feelings and those nasty mentalities. And then, of course, I had this sip of Gatorade over here.
Yeah, couldn't let me go.
But it's we both gave something special to each other, I think.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we have our moments. We definitely have our moments, but when we go back to the foundation of where we really started, it's crazy. That's why we both can sit here and laugh about it.
I love him. I love him so much.
Okay. See, I tell you, good people, man. Let's take it back just a little bit here, back in your lives, that is. Since we are talking about communication here, if we're speaking about growing up, so we'll say, we'll take age 12 to about 19, 20-ish here. During that time frame of your life, were you more likely to discuss an issue with the person you may have had an issue with, or were you more likely to internalize your problems?
Ooh. I've always been very vocal.
Okay.
I've actually learned to tone it down at times. I have prayed for God-like patience. Okay. Because I was a firecracker. Like, I would explode on anybody, anywhere, anytime. So I have really learned to master the craft of the when and where of that witty. Because women, we're naturally witty. We just got to know how to when to use it and when not to.
Right.
So.
Okay. For me, during that age, 12 to 18, I think I probably would have tried to do something to you too.
You were super smooth, dog.
Yeah, I was like slick with it, but I had a temper.
Storm.
I had a temper. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you know, quiet people, y'all scary.
Right now, as you grow though, that's what you should want to be mature. You know, you should want to grow and not be doing what you were at 12 to 18, and 30, 40, 40,
you
whatever
got
it is.
You're accountable for.
Definitely. So it's even then, like she said, I kind of had that savviness about me maybe it's because my grandparents raised me, but it's like you pick and choose when you want to go there. I've always been like that type of person, but
you was pretty chill. I mean, I really never saw you.
No, I
really like that.
No.
Okay. So the second part of that question, of course, is going to be now as an adult, and the other part I'll add on to that is for those who may be, as you guys were, not necessarily willing to hear out the story or necessarily waiting to hear all the details as a youth. As you become older, since you guys are older now and have learned from those positions, how did you come to the point where you were able to look at a situation and analyze the situation before reacting? And if you did have to reacting with tact, as you said, and with maturity?
Well, within marriage, I have really been tested on that reaction. Whew. Shout out to the bitter baby mamas out there. No, but I have really learned how to first let God do it, and then let him kind of be in control as far as my husband. Let him, so I'm learning to follow his lead in that area.
Okay.
Because I have a real low tolerance for disrespect on any level. Like, and I'm like a natural fighter for the underdog. So I'm like you get what I'm saying? Like, I naturally have the leave him alone or leave her alone. You know, I naturally have that. So I have learned that everything is not your fight. Everything is not your battle. Mm-hmm. Even within my own marriage, I've had to just learn, okay, God, I just got to let you do it. Vengeance is yours. I know, because you know me, God. I'll get in there and I'll get the paint. I ain't scared of nothing. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
I had to now just reflect back on those times. I'm glad that I was quiet.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad that I kind of just really toned it down, because it's turning around and God's doing it where nobody but him will get the credit.
Right.
Period.
Okay. And Daronn?
I said she went exactly where I was going, so it's...
Yeah, but you got to talk about your time.
My time is...
A time
always
when
been
you had to be.
My time has always been the same. I always have to be real chill and reserved a lot of times, because you are the firecracker. So it's like there has to be some water, or there has to be some ice to the fire. We have to be able to counter effect each other's yin and yang, and that's why I think we do deliver such a powerful blow.
Yeah.
As far as we are that type of couple where a lot of times I have to be the one calming down, or like just don't let it be like that, babe. Don't let it.
Yeah, but when you get upset, then it's just.
I think her nickname for me the first year was passive delight, because of how I handle situations. She's like,
I just couldn't believe it.
Why you not snapping it?
Yeah,
like,
I really couldn't believe it.
Just let it settle a little bit, and I think now in time, again, we talk about that maturity. Mm-hmm. In time, I said that patience is definitely key, and if love is involved, you have what it takes to endure any storm, any problem, any issue, and we've been utilizing those things. And now I think my wife does see, like, okay, yeah, we were chill, and now it's like the people that we may have thought were being rude and disrespectful towards us, they are definitely like
a non-factor,
or they need us for certain things, or it's just like it comes back around again. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So
it actually motivated us to get closer, stick together,
stay together.
Right. But it caused us to have those uncomfortable conversations at times too. Like, I really had to. I'm an analytical. Like, I overanalyze everything. I think about everything. So I really needed to know, like, why these things, or his lack of reaction. Why? Like, why are you so chill for something this serious? So I really understand, really, just over the time now, why.
Okay. So of course, I'm going to ask about your relationship with one another, because the previous question was about your relationship with the outside world. So now, dealing with one another when there are disagreements, and knowing that you guys kind of have different, we'll say, different resolution styles, different communication styles in regard to resolving issues. When there are disagreements in your relationship because of your different resolution styles, do you prefer to discuss the issue immediately, or do you take the time to think it over before speaking, or how do you navigate that between you two, with the two communication styles being different?
ASAP Rocky, right away.
Okay.
No holds barred. I cannot hold it in. When I'm uncomfortable, upset, hurt, whatever it is, I have to talk to him. Okay. I have to get it out. Otherwise, I'm scared on what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I have to talk about it. Communication is like so important on the priority list. It's like dang near number 1 or 2. I have to be able to talk to him about it. Definitely. Okay. No matter what it is, I got to talk to my partner.
Okay. Daronn?
Yeah.
Definitely ASAP.
Okay.
Not always.
But within that
you can hold it
ASAP.
in longer than me.
No, listen. Within the ASAP. So within, I believe you should directly attack the subject, whatever it is that needs to be talked about.
Okay.
But within that conversation, you should have your antennas on, where if it's going to another angle, then yes, take some time, relax, and then come back. Like that's where I am with it.
I gotta talk.
I understand.
And I might not say the best. I might not.
And we usually do end up doing.
I might even cuss every now and again.
We
Forgive
usually,
me, Lord. But
we usually do
I
end
know
up.
I'm not always nice to you, but it's from the heart.
It is.
I mean, I'm really like, I don't play about my husband, okay?
It takes.
And that includes you.
Time.
So
It takes time. It takes time to get where we are, though.
It does. And you know what I say, Jonathan? I say, okay, am I talking to my husband now? Is he back?
Right.
Oh man.
And I'm looking at her like, is this my wife?
Like, or am I talking to your ego? Because I don't want to talk to dude.
Wow.
Did you drop him off at the door or what? Because I'll wait.
Or I'll just give her that look, Jonathan, and she'll just stop talking.
Okay.
And then we'll come back together about 20 minutes
I'll be
later.
talking again,
and we'll start talking.
He leaves, and I'll be talking
in the positivity.
Yeah.
Because at the end of all, you want to come to some type of solution.
Right.
That's the thing. And we want to get to that solution.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
I'm learning not to just throw in the towel so easy. That's another thing that I think I've thrown in there a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I'm leaving then. Whatever. You can get out. And I'm like, girl, shut up. Now, like, really? I just, we do that. We don't mean no harm. We really don't want y'all to leave. I mean, y'all know when we're serious. Y'all know the difference.
Okay.
But, no.
I think that's a good mark of maturity in a relationship and love, because if you love a person enough to allow them to have their process for the greater good of the relationship, I think that's a good position to come from, where you don't necessarily agree with their approach all the time, but you can let them take their time and you can take your time, and when you reconvene, you can have a better understanding of whatever the issue might have been, and even get to a resolution much quicker than had you just approach from, with like the gorilla stance. You come at each other and she comes at you and y'all just arguing about nothing and no resolutions.
Right.
So,
no resolution.
Right. I think that's a kudos, even if you, I know you guys have recognized that within each other, but even from a person on the outside looking in, that's a big maturity plateau that you've crossed, and it's definitely necessary and the mark of a growing, as you said earlier, a growing relationship that is bearing fruit. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Very
and
much.
keep that private. Like, our arguments, we don't argue on social media. We don't get below the belt. We don't do you got to keep that stuff in the home.
Oh, yeah.
That's important.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because there's nothing like having an argument and everybody else chime in, and then y'all get back together tomorrow.
Right.
Exactly.
And everybody.
You have everybody else looking at you.
Right.
Like,
she's stupid. He dumb. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I was talking to on that previous podcast, talking with Jomar, and we were talking about just it's interesting when people people have so much advice for relationships in regard to whether you should stay or you should leave, having nothing invested in either one of the people. So I think it's an interesting thing. You don't have my story in regard to my wife, or she doesn't have his story. You know what I mean? You don't
take the time to learn me.
Right. You don't have the history. So for you, it is easy just to go, but for a person who has history, it's a little bit more difficult to just, like you said, throw in the towel. And if it's not worth it, for you, because you don't have the history, it's worth it for me and in my relationship to put in the work. So I applaud you guys. Right. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, man. So we're still on communication here, and everything that we've talked about this far has been about communication, internal communication, communication with your outside world, communication with your spouse here. So we're still on the line of communication. Like I told you, man, we stay in sync, and I knew you guys were going to be fantastic people to speak with. So I'm telling you, man. So the Encyclopedia Britannica describes language as a system of conventional spoken, manual, or written symbols by means of which human beings, as members of social group and participants in its culture, express themselves. And this is the part that I really want to focus on here. The function of language includes communication, the expression of identity, play, imaginative expression and emotional release. Now, since you guys are both musicians, singers, songwriters, and creatives in general here, believing that that Encyclopedia Britannica definition is accurate, in what ways are the following most evident in your songwriting or how you approach a piece of music? In what way is it accurate and it's most evident in the expression of identity? How do you express yourself individually in how you approach a song, musically or even vocally?
Straight up real.
Okay.
Does this line up with who I am?
Okay.
Will this empower someone else?
Okay.
Does this have a positive message behind it? Is there something deeper behind this? It's not just the cute, harmonies, the nice beat. It's the full package. But what is behind it? That's where I start.
Right.
I start with that.
Okay, so let's take. Oh, I'm sorry, Daronn. I didn't mean to cut you off. See, I'm just fired up to go. Daronn, how do you express identity in a piece of music, generally speaking, in a piece of music when you approach it?
Oh, me, I've been self-taught, so it's like I've never taken any music lessons really. So it's all about the vibe and the spirit. So when I attack a song from jump, it's definitely from the core.
Gotta feel it.
I have to definitely feel it. Even with original pieces or pieces that are done, I have to make a certain connection with it, or just even in learning the piece, it takes me that much longer to learn it if I'm not really vibing with it.
Oh.
But if I'm vibing, I'm definitely locked in. So I play a lot from the soul.
I agree. Now, while you guys were talking there, I was thinking about the song Zero Pursuit. And I know you had that was a single from a while ago. I had that on rotation. It comes up on the playlist.
T-shirt on right now, man.
Right.
It's crazy you would say that.
I'm saying because we in sync. I'm telling you, man. Good people. Good people. So let's make that the topic of we'll make that the central theme of this question here. So in regard to Zero Pursuit, we talked about the expression of identity in regard to the language of music here. So in regard to Zero Pursuit specifically, how is it most evident, the imaginative expression? How do you create a world with the imagery? How do you create a world with imagery in this song, specifically speaking about Zero Pursuit? How do you do that?
Zero. Nothing. Ain't gonna do it. The very title it represented where I was at that time. Mind you, this is also very important to our marriage. This is the single I was currently working when we got together.
See?
How about that? So I put out in the atmosphere that I wasn't chasing a man, that I was a queen. I was making a declaration, an anthem, if you will, for the ladies to sing along with. I'm not going to chase you. I'm not going to do it no matter what. You have to have a plan because I'm taking a stance. If you want to be my man, hey, I'm not going to chase you. That's how that went.
Okay.
And it really just hit. It really just marked, I should say, the time in my life where I felt that was important. We graduate from a princess to a queen, but do we really realize when that happened? That was one of the times for me when I knew that happened. I knew I was a queen at that time. Okay. And guess what? I was no longer going to allow any man to come in my life and wreak havoc, pressure me to do anything. I wasn't any type of abuse. I just wasn't going for it, period. The end. So the blunt statement was Zero Pursuit.
Okay.
I'm not chasing you. You gotta chase me. And when you chase me, you gotta have class. You gotta have cash. No.
Listen to you.
No, I'm goofy. We gotta laugh, but that's what that is, though. Straight up statement.
Right.
Okay. So you kind of alluded to it here, but the third part of that question is, in what ways is it most evident that there was an emotional release with that song, specifically Zero Pursuit? How did you emotionally leave it on the track there?
just the way I deliver anything.
Okay.
Everything that I sing, I think my style, as anybody really always notices and picks up, you are so passionate. Like, it's just something I can't hold back. I've never been able to. It always touches me so deeply that in my delivery, you can hear the passion. You can feel the passion. Okay. And that's why I call it soul empowerment, because it's from my soul. It's from the inner core of me. That's where it was created from. So if it comes from there, I'm able to reach you that way. So that's why the vibrations are so deep.
Okay. See.
Yeah.
Daronn, your thoughts on that?
Music is universal. It's such a powerful way to communicate.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been just so blessed to be in that lane. I mean, and it's so healing for me.
Right.
It's such a deliverance within yourself.
I was just going to say that. Think about the doctor or the painter. You can place music in either one of those positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because as a doctor, you're taking some things, and you're healing, or you're recorrecting, or you're restructuring, depending on how far. Some you may have to do surgery on. Wow, that's crazy. Or as a painter, you're starting with an empty slate, and you're filling it with everything you've put into it.
Right.
Yeah. Just that raw emotion. And I've always like being real and genuine and true to who you are, no matter what it is. Like I vow to never ever get away from that. Like a lot of people don't even know I've passed up 4 deals, a total of 4 deals so far, because I felt like it compromised who I was.
Yeah.
You know, not only I remember one was like they wanted 75% of my publishing.
Whoa.
Never. Like I'm not like I'm not a dumb starving artist. It doesn't matter how long it takes me, and really I love being independent. I own everything.
It works. It works out. It definitely does.
I love it. I mean, it has its times where you're like, man, if I had $1 million right now, I could do this big extravagant. You know, that's really the only hang up. But being independent, you're free to truly be who you are. Nobody can tell you who to be, what to do. No, you just flow.
It's so much more.
It's free.
It's so much more.
It really is. It's such liberty in that.
I think God designed you specifically for what you do. The soul empowerment. It truly is. It's beyond just the music ministry. It's truly a world ministry.
Oh, bless your heart.
And
I know, like
it touches though.
I get chills, Jonathan.
It touches so many people.
Maybe I should be a little more vocal about the accolades and things that I've done. I don't know. I'm just not that type of woman.
Right.
I'm not I don't brag, boast. I'm like humility is everything to me. So I think I kind of shortchange myself sometimes. But okay, I'm working on that. But I've done some things. I've gotten some responses. Like, for instance, Stronger. Stronger was on the I'm Ready Now album. When I released that, and even still now, I randomly get messages from women who are coming out of abusive relationships or trying to, and they're just like, girl, you have no idea how that song touched me. Or Zero Pursuit, same way. I was getting a lot of messages about that. But you're talking about people both local and worldwide. Like I'll tell Daronn, like, wow, UK is really loving. Like, they really love Zero Pursuit. They still play it. Yep. They love Timeless, which was our first our first duet. That's also on I'm Ready Now. That was charting in the UK. And here in my own itty bitty city, they barely respect what I do. You know, so I'm like, okay, God, guide me, but I'm gonna continue my journey.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Pursue the dream, continue it, but definitely never give up on the calling. Don't give up on the calling. I am. No compromise. God will never fail you.
I know that.
And He's called you to do what He has you doing. Just remain faithful.
And you right with me, babe.
Man, He put us together for a reason.
Right. I think it's interesting again to the previous podcast we were talking about what does success look like, and we were talking about that true success is having options and being able to create options. And I think if you stay in a position of ownership, you have the position to give options and to have options. It's one thing to have money, but if you don't have options, you just have money. That's not really that's not really doing you any good if it's not used for anything beneficial. But if you have options, you don't necessarily need money. You can use influence to get what you need. You can use money as a resource to get what you need. You can use the company itself as leverage to get what you need. So I definitely agree with being a 100% owner in whatever you do, because like you said, to wait for the money to recoup from a deal is one thing, but to know that at the time that $1 comes in, $1 is yours. That's an even better feeling.
That's it.
It is. And a lot of artists really don't understand the music business.
Oh, yeah.
I really, for those that are listening that are musicians, if you're going to take it serious, I really press upon you to learn the business of it. Learn the multiple streams of income. If you notice, Jonathan, I don't have to do a lot of shows per se. Yep. There are so many ways now, literally without me leaving home, to get paid, from your creations. And what one doesn't like, trust me, it's a million that will. Keep going.
And I think that's
it's not about the likes, because the likes don't even represent what you're getting or what you can receive. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Not everybody knows how to connect with you like that too. That's another thing. We got to learn how to remain relevant without compromising who we are.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's an interesting perspective that you talked about, the reception worldwide versus the reception in your local area here. Because even the same thing in regard to this podcast here, I launched a podcast last year, but it wasn't, not this particular podcast, but another one, and it wasn't generating a lot of steam, and I wasn't really upset about that because I really didn't share it to generate that. I shared it because it was something that I wanted to share. So with this one, immediately, I want to say day 1 or 2 when I was working on the very first podcast, it was a decision I made within myself to say that I am reaching for a broader market. So if I haven't reached that broader market yet, why would I be upset that the people in the market that I'm not reaching for haven't felt me yet? Like that. That doesn't make sense.
And then keep in mind, not everybody is going to let you know how you affect them either.
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten people that come out the woodworks. I've been following you for years. Oh, have you?
Right.
But that's why
didn't you tell me?
That's why you keep trucking. Because you never know when you're going to get those types.
And then guess what's the other part of that? Collaboration is key. Collaboration is key. Jonathan, I applaud what you're doing. You keep going. Listen, when I have ideas, or if I want to come together, if I want to borrow you, guess what? I'm reaching out.
Yeah.
Hey, I got this show. I got this coming up. I got this. Hey, I think, let's work on this together. That's important.
Oh, yeah.
That's important in all businesses nowadays. We need to learn to work together. We're not islands.
Oh,
It takes a team. It takes others to hop in and let's work toward this common goal. You bring this, I'll bring this. Let's put it together. You know.
So if you are if you are a creative listening to this show, if you're an artist, whatever your art may be, or even if you're just a creative in another aspect, it's very important to recognize what you have beyond the accolades that you may get from him, and to recognize that there are people who are waiting to help you that you just haven't reached out to yet, and they may not be around the corner, they may be around the globe. So
that's it. That's it. And I love when people say, "Oh, you're a local artist." Oh, I love having that conversation. Local? Oh, I absolutely hate. This is where I go. Oh, local? Oh, please refrain from using local. Beyonce was from a local city. Jay-Z was from a local city, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we're all from somewhere. Yeah. So because I happen to reside in the same city that you does not mean that it's local, because guess what? I can move at any moment.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And guess what's going to come with me? My creativity, my craft. So how about we just get behind good people? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And that's the beauty of music, because music will go further than you or I could ever travel. So
thank you.
Beyond the time frame that we live in. Okay, so we only got 3 more questions here, and I know, time is just flying by. See, good conversation with good people. It don't even feel like it's been that long. Okay, so here's the next question. We're still on the topic of communication, and we still are talking about saying what you need to say and all the different perspectives that we're in, saying what you need to say here. The next question says, how do you, and this is for either one of you individually or collectively, how do you navigate the aggression necessary to get in front of people and bare your souls musically, to push past those who don't see your vision, and the vulnerability required to touch your listeners? How do you navigate that aggressive stance? Because you have to be aggressive when you want to get in front of people to get the opportunity. You have to be aggressive when you're expressing your music, and you also have to be vulnerable enough that people can touch you and you can touch them. How do you navigate that?
Ooh. For me, I guess I'll start. Miss Talkative. I really, since a babe, I mean, my parents still crack up and tell me about videos they have of me just wanting to be in front of the camera or wanting a crowd to sing and dance to. My first favorite song was Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do With It? And I would sing. And we all know Tina is a bad sister. She's bold, bold in every way. Singing, appearance, performance, whole nine. So that was one of my favorites coming up. So, just again, that environment to be free and be creative and be musically just insane. I guess that's where it started. So now, it doesn't matter. It could be 5 people in the audience or 5 million. I'm still giving my all. I'm sweating. I'm singing my heart out. I'm moving the whole time. I'm making eye contact. Not to mention this new thing with the phones. Right. Singing to phones now, that's something new. I'm from the era where I saw faces and saw expressions. But hey, that's another adjustment. It is what it is. Right. But I am truly and have learned to truly draw the people in. Not only vocally, but just you have to capture them in your movements. You have to capture them when you're singing. They want to be able to connect some kind of way. So the boldness, I guess it's just naturally in me. Okay. I really, sorry, not sorry. But put me in a room of haters and they gonna love me by the end of the night. I'm just that my confidence is just through the roof, and that I think that came from trial and error too. Like I've had some horrible performances too. Yeah. I've had times where I was off and I knew I was off. Like, oh my God, that was horrible. But that happens. We're not machines. We're not perfect. Right. But just that natural raw connection that keeps you working at it. And and then of course I won't stop. We still rehearse all the time. I'm still creating all the time. So the confidence really comes by doing.
Repetition.
Okay. Yeah. And Daronn, musically speaking?
For me, just repetition, man. Mm-hmm. It's going to sound weird, but I always set up to fail, if that makes any sense. Like I always, I shoot for worst case scenario, but I always come out on top. Okay. And that's because that helps me stay grounded. I've never had, outside of physically having like a swell head, I've never had a big head as far as coming to issues about like I'm better than this guy or I'm better than the next guy or
humility.
I'll pass up gigs to do only one thing, and that is work with the right candidate or just be on the correct show or be at the correct service, because my one thing that's becoming more and more true and key to me outside of my family being well, and that is my soul.
Oh
we got to
and which direction it's going after life, like and all of that rounds up to how you are staying true, as far as staying true to yourself.
Well, he's definitely my musician, so I have to approve anyone he plays for. So I'm just
there we go.
Well, I'm just saying, I took on your last name, so I got to own something.
Wow.
Wow.
All right. I do agree with you 100% on that, Daronn, because especially in our city, but I imagine you could say it about any city. There are a ton of talented individuals musically, but unfortunately, disposition and attitude definitely
it throws them all off.
Right. Yeah. That definitely cuts down the field of people that you're willing to work with, especially in the city.
That's right.
And I know many other cities could say the very same thing, but I know for this city there are guys who I would love to work with, but because of their attitude or because of The experiences I had working near and around them in the periphery, can't do it.
We gotta guard our gifts. We gotta be good stewards over what God. You're not gonna put your rare diamond out in the middle of 27th Street and let them run over it, are you? Right. So no different. That our gifts are precious, no matter what they are.
Oh yeah.
No matter what they are, we have to be great stewards and take care over what God gave us.
Truly.
Okay.
So whether people respect it or not, oh well, but we have to guard it.
Okay. So we're down to 2 questions here. I have a quote here from a gentleman by the name, I know I'm going to mess up the last name. First name is Heinrich, and I want to say the last name is Hein. And his quote is, "Where words leave off, music begins." And I think that's a very good quote because it does speak to the both the universal appeal of language and the understanding of language beyond the borders of written language here. So believing that music can sometimes be the language that talks beyond the words that are in the music, what was the very first song that your Daronn or Elaine can recall that spoke to you on an individual level? The very first song that either made you shed a tear or just made you stop and just sit down and just listen to it.
It's so many.
Yeah, I got a lot, but
the very first one, that you can recall.
As far as really understanding music and like listening to it just for what the artist had to bring to it, Tupac's "Dear Mama," he really like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Already being poetically inclined, like he just opened up some windows for me personally in my life as far as like what a real true Black mother or Black queen just represented at that time, and then to kind of be going through some of the things that he was talking about in the song, it really was like you said, shed that tear. I think I listened to the song about 15 times when I first got the CD, cried a couple more times, and it just like, for it to be so secular and worldly, so to speak,
right?
It really spoke to my soul. It really spoke to the inner core of who I was at that time.
Okay.
Kind of changed the boy to a man at an early stage.
Okay.
As far as what respect towards a woman was about.
Gotcha.
Well, growing up, I couldn't really listen to secular music. Mom's wasn't having it. Every CD I tried to purchase low key, she'll find my little hiding spots and crack them and crack my little heart with it. I know. Remember the cassette tapes?
Oh, yeah.
She'll pull the reels out. Oh my God. Yeah. So the first songs that I think my dad bought, too funny. We had to sneak, we had this little agreement. Don't tell Mom. But he bought me What's the 411? Mary J's first one, and TLC's first one. So I had those two, and I was really like soaking it in. But Mary J's, that whole album, whoa.
That first one?
Like I really
411 was
okay.
Yeah,
charts,
like
for real.
Yeah, that was really, really powerful. I think was it Not Gonna Cry? Was that on that one? I'm not sure. I think so. It's been forever. But
yes, it was.
She would sing with such emotion. Like even at a young age, I really hadn't been too much, but I really connected with the emotion of it all. And then another artist that I really remember in my childhood years was John P. Key. Okay. A lot of his slow worship songs. Like I do worship, I would just break down and cry.
John P. was the man.
Yeah, like he was very, very. He's so talented, even to this day.
Yeah.
I think he really influenced my style of music as well. He always came off like he wasn't scared to try anything. That's how I am.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll answer this one because a lot of times I don't answer the question. The 2 songs the reason I thought of that question, the 2 songs that I thought of immediately, for some reason it was another Tupac one as well with Thug Life, Straight Ballin'. Even to this very day, it has nothing to do. That is not my lifestyle. Never has been my lifestyle. But I promise you, that song was written so well. It was just such a great song. Man, even to this very day, if it comes on.
Amazing.
Right.
Man, he was amazing.
Yeah, that one, and the first song, ironically, that actually, because it was so beautifully structured, that it actually made me kind of well up. Didn't shed a tear, but I was kind of close to there. It was an album, actually, It was the Roots Come Alive album. It was such a beautiful album, man.
That album is great.
Yeah, man. The
and you a drummer too, so that really touched you in another way.
Like it was unreal. I'm like, man, how is this made by humans? This is not right.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one that changed the game for me. They had a fan for life at that point. So right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So we have reached the final question here, the very last question with Daronn and Elaine here. Again, I do thank you guys for putting up with me for so long and even supporting me in my little vision here, just wanting to talk to people and letting people be heard here. Right.
Yeah.
See, I'm telling you, man, good stuff from good people always here. Yeah. So the very last question that we have here, how important as a musician / singer-songwriter is it to challenge yourself musically and artistically? How important is it to not just rest on what you did yesterday?
Oh, very important. Mm-hmm. Very. For me, it's spiritual. So I always, I really pride myself in staying connected to the Lord and His voice. Okay, God, what do you want me to do next? And a lot of the times, musically, it's a feeling like I'm compelled to go this way. Mm-hmm. Or I could hear a track, that somebody sends or something I want to do, and I instantly have a song. Like it really, songwriting is like second nature for me.
Okay.
So as far as just getting it done, it's really just that strong, okay, this is where I want you to be next. This is what I want you to do next. And I just follow that.
Okay.
I follow that feeling.
Okay. So, Daronn, how...
Yeah, like they say, trust your gut. Right. I trust my gut, because that's God.
Okay. So, Daronn, how important now, I can almost imagine what you're going to say, but I want to hear it anyway. How important is it as a musician specifically to challenge yourself musically and artistically? And that could be with how you approach a song specifically, or even the song choices that you choose, because there's a million different ways you can approach one song. And if you ask 10 musicians how they would play one song, you get 10 different versions. So how important is it for you to challenge yourself when approaching music?
Again, that repetition. Yeah. So I try to challenge myself with different like dynamics or I try to listen, don't try to get so stuck on a certain specific type of gospel music. I try to listen to more than just your like traditional.
Right.
I may have Hillsong going, then I may have, Beethoven, and the next Miles may be in the loop. I'm all over the place. Roots.
Yeah.
I just take different elements. And because that's the thing about music, it's just like a pot of gumbo, man. Whatever you add in, you can't really go wrong.
Right.
You're gonna have a great flavor.
Yep, as long.
And if you're cooking from the soul, it's gonna be right.
Oh yeah, like you said, just like gumbo. If you're using fresh ingredients and you're doing it for the right reasons, you got no reason to have the meal turn out bad. I agree 300% with you, man, on that one. Definitely.
It's trial and error. Sometimes you just try something and then you kind of want to fine tune it next time. There's nothing wrong with that. The legends remix and remake
all the time.
Oh yeah. And like you said, to that point, I think if people had to tell the truth on how many songs that ended up being great songs that were mistakes or had mistakes in them, I imagine that the stories that we would hear would be amazing. I was trying to do what kind of sticks out in my mind when you were talking about Miles Davis is that in a jazz class I had in college, they were talking about how he was studying under a lot of the great bebop guys and how he, as a bebop player, wasn't really that good. So for him, he ended up going a different way with that the birth of cool, so to speak, going a different way, and that's what worked out for him because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. So yeah,
right.
I'm like, man, that's dope, man. That's how.
But that's the freedom in creating,
I just saw that too, like the ability to reinvent yourself.
Oh yeah.
In those times.
Oh yeah.
That's what makes it great. That's what makes the better person.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what makes the stronger individual.
Oh yeah, I agree here. So we have definitely reached the very last question, but that's not the end here. What I'd like to do for people like yourselves, that are fantastic people, that are forwardly progressive in their respective fields here, I'd like to give you as a sort of a last word here, since you are a mogul, since you are a business owner, both of you collectively, business owner, manager, on your music, your publishing, your songs. What do you guys got going on? Because I know because I'm on Facebook. But for the people who don't know, what do you guys have going on today with the music and with the label, and what do you guys got going on? We'll use this as free advertisement. So just tell us what you got going on.
Sound good, love it. Thank God for it. Soul empowerment. Soul empowerment music continues on and on. That's our little one in the background. Forgive her. Say hi, world. Hi, world. That's Princess Amari. You know, she's learning. She's in training grounds right now. But we are continuing to create and create and create. We got some video casting calls are coming real soon. Make sure you're following Essential Music Entertainment. Also, at Elaine Essential on all the social sites. Look, you're hating right now. So that's on Instagram, Facebook. Mm-hmm. What are all the sites? Twitter? Oh, God. It's all new to me. Just follow me. Follow me as I follow God's plan.
Right.
So look, I'm on everything because I have to be, but really? So hold on real quick. We're going to kick her back out the room.
Gotcha.
But while she leaves, we're currently, as we mentioned earlier, we did a Christmas album last year. That was wonderful. That was a compilation. I was blessed to be able to executive produce. That really reached a lot of people. That was really awesome to be able to put together to give back to our community. That's what we did. Okay. Thank God for the opportunity. Right now we're working on myself and Daronn, aka D Noble.
Okay.
We got another duet we're releasing entitled Win Win. That's a Steppers groove. Get your stepping shoes ready.
Okay.
Something you can hear on the radio, at a barbecue, at your, I don't know, hey, your gathering period, gathering of love.
Gotcha.
That's a great song that's coming soon. I got another song coming out called Everyday Love. That's a summertime joint.
Okay.
I think I'm going to do a video for that one, too. I actually got a couple songs coming out. Now that I'm thinking.
See?
But continue great music, continue focus. I'm releasing a new Love Live Life Queen and Princess line. That'll be out in a few months as well. Of course, we got the hoodies and the tees right now. Believe it or not, bro, the Love Live Life line is a straight conversation starter.
Okay.
I mean, people from young to old, when we wear it, when we're out, oh, I like that. Where y'all get that from? That's cool. Like, that's really good. For instance, we went down to John Gray's church. This is really cool. This is how we brought in our new year.
Okay.
We're down in South Carolina. And in walks John Gray and his wife right in front of us.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, hey, what's going on? Those sweatshirts are really cool. They spoke a lot of life. We were able to share the Christmas album with them. Woo, that was a wonderful way to bring in the new year. So I'm constantly open to make good quality connections, I still help other artists in the studio, help them to arrange and create. Of course, I write songs for other people as well. But the creativity will never stop. That's just something that's in us, It'll never stop.
Okay. And of course, in addition to all that, I'll have the links of all the social media sites on the video and also on the YouTube page. So if you are interested, you can definitely check out any of the social media links there, or also on Facebook. You said at Essential?
At Elaine Essential.
At Elaine Essential. So if you don't want to click the links.
Facebook is facebook.com/Essential Music.
There you go.
Essential Music.
So if you don't remember nothing else, go to the Facebook page. You'll have more links there. You have links on the video. Right. So again, again, I thank you guys 110%. Well, we'll say 1,000%. In some of the videos, I got a bad habit of saying percentages, man. So you got to forgive me on that. I just throw out percentages.
That's all right. You got a mathematical thinking.
Right. Right.
That means you know how to count money real well. I might need you. You know what I mean?
Right. So I thank you guys again for taking time out of your schedule, for taking time away from your family, just to indulge me and to impart what you've learned on this walk of life, what you've learned in your personal relationships, and even in your relationship with one another. I thank you for humoring me and letting me have a little glimpse into two fantastic people, like I said, and giving my listeners a chance to get to know a different perspective about you as individuals and also as a couple. So I thank you again. If you have any last words, you can feel free to expound.
We thank you.
Oh, man.
As we move around, this is sad. We got to do a maze in our house to get away from our baby. That's crazy.
Right. I'm surprised.
But we thank you, truly.
It's an honor, man.
Oh,
hopefully, what we shared was able to reach somebody.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
definitely.
That's right.
And I hope they're empowered enough to reach out to you and let you know if they've impacted themselves. If you guys, if you heard something that you liked and you appreciate it, don't hesitate to reach out to either me or those people. I'll get the message to them. Let people know how you feel about them. Life is short. Let people know if you're encouraged and if they mean something to you. Why don't you go ahead and tell them today? Why not?
That's right. Give us our flowers. I'm just saying.
Right.
While we live.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
I know that's right.
Right. All right.
Thank you, brother. Honor is ours.
Okay. Cool. That has been another episode of Some Roses Are Red. Everybody, you guys be blessed.
Love, live life.
Next time on Some Roses Are Red. Welcome to Some Roses Are Red. Again, this is John, the host of Some Roses Are Red. And today, not in our studios, we're actually communicating through Skype while she's out of state. I believe you're still in Texas now. Correct. Yep. So Fort Worth, Texas. Now we're speaking to Dr. Alice Johnson here.
Again, if I'm going to be honest, I'm just a real person.
Okay.
I've been married a couple of times. And all of this works together for your good, but you don't see it in advance.
Right.
That sometimes in order to strike out on your own or in order to get the kind of employment that you want, you can use education as a tool. And if I can expand on that just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think that education, going out to go to a school to get a degree is what makes you get a better job. In some cases, maybe you're working a job and the job says you got to get a degree in order to move up in this company. What I often tell my students is this: every project, every paper, every class discussion should have you writing 2 sets of notes. One set of notes about what it is that the person is talking about, and then in the margin, what it makes you think of or come up with as a result.
79.7.